All right, team, I am excited to cover the topic of today with you. It is how you free up time, removing yourself from decision-making processes, particularly those of your direct reports, but all throughout your organization. And you do this through providing what we call decisioning anchors. So the problem to address is I hear a lot of my clients and executives saying, there are so many decisions that I get pulled into unnecessarily. There are meetings that I show up at and my team will say, here's our point of view, here's the problem, here's our thinking. They've put together a great solution. And all they need is for me to say, yes, that makes sense. They just want my approval on this. How many times do I get emails and my inbox and my Slack is filled with people providing points of view and they want to say, hey, here's what I'm thinking. Can I get your point of view on this? Can we meet to talk about it? And so they're going to email me first and then we're going to have to meet where they're going to talk to me about something that 95% of the time works well. They just want me to reinforce that they've done it. How do I remove myself from all those meetings and all that email to free up my time to do something better? So that's the problem. The process, or the promise I'll give you, and I'll get to the process. The promise is there is an approach that I've seen work time and again. I never say never, but I have yet to see this approach fail. It is a powerful approach. It was transformative for me when I was an operating exec, and I still use it today in some capacities. And so the process is fairly straightforward. It's threefold. We're going to create decision anchors. We're going to communicate them, and we're going to set expectations around them. So let me see if I can take you through this on the whiteboard, what it looks like, and forgive my terrible handwriting here. So the decision anchor takes a form of two different buckets. The first is business objectives. Now, every great leader, every great business has this. What they don't have typically is what I'm about to show you. So let's say there are three objectives. One is increase revenue. And we're going to say we want that by like 70% year over year. The second is delight our customers. Because how are you going to get 70% year over year growth without delighting your customers? And let's say that's going to look like an NPS score greater than or equal to a 9. Lastly, maintain profitability. Let's say this is your last goal, and that's going to look like EBITDA margin of, let's say, like 25%. We'll just pull those numbers out. Now, every great business has clarity on what their objectives are. What they typically don't have, and what a typical leader doesn't have, is it boiled down this succinctly. Increase revenue, 70% year over year. Delight customers, NPS score, 9 or above. The reason you want it this simple, with the goal name and the metric, bang, 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 is that you want those people you communicate it to be able to rattle it off like their address. They should be able to shoot that list of objectives off, 1, 2, 3. And if they can't, it's typically because there are too many objectives or it's not succinct enough. And there's that old adage, I'm sorry that this letter was so long. It would have been shorter if I had more time. Well, spend the time to make your goals more succinct and more clear. Now, here's the second bucket that is important for us to communicate. It's the second anchor is what we'll call personal objectives when we communicate them. Now, what they really are our values objectives. And I'll just put this in quotes here. This is our values. And so let's say, I'll illustrate with my own values. So I've got 3 values. One is goodness. What this means is do the right thing. No matter what, no matter how hard it is, even if it hurts, do the right thing. Greatness. This is do things as best as possible. As best as possible. So, and here comes with persistence and delivering excellence and tenacity, etc. And then lastly, my last one is freedom. What this says is if you're doing goodness and greatness, if you're doing those two things, you should be able to do them however you want. You should be free to do them however you want. So if you do 1 and 2, then you should do them however you want. Great. Let's say those are my 3 values. Now, most executives look at personal values as something that's too squishy to spend time on. It's just not something that's that interesting, like the hard metrics of a business. But let's think about what these are. This is the what we want to do, and this is the how we want to go about doing it. Right, and so this is crucially important. And as we create anchors for our team and thinking about how they make decisions. So let's get to this in a moment. Actually, the what here is probably a little bit off the screen. Sorry. This is the what you want to do. You guys got the picture though. This is what we want to do. So you have now your decision anchors, what we want to do, how we want to go about doing them, how we want to show up. So we have, let's say we have over here created this is the first step of the process, right? Create your decisioning anchors. 2, you want to communicate them. This is simple. You take this, you put this up on a slide, and you present this to your team members. You print it up, you put it on your own wall, right? Because this is important to remind ourselves of. Every time somebody comes in your office or sees it behind you on Zoom, they're reminded this is what are the ways in which my boss is aiming to operate. These are his business objectives. These are his personal objectives, how he wants to go about it. Now we talk about recreate the expectation. So this is what you communicate. This is an advancement of the communication. It's not just here are my 3 business objectives and also my personal objectives, how I want to show up. But this is the key. Now, this is the best, most succinct downloading of my brain in terms of how I want to operate when I'm making decisions. So, you, direct reports or team members, if you have decisions to make, this is your best benchmark for knowing how I'm going to think. This is your scorecard. If you can go this way or this way, mark them up against these 6, this one anchor, these 6 anchors, check them off. Whichever one checks more boxes, that is the better way to go. And what this means is, if you and I go separate ways and you have a very difficult decision to make, and let's say I'm on vacation or I'm really busy, you can't get a hold of me, you can make that decision if you believe that you can. That decision holds water against these metrics, these goals and objectives that I have. And when we come back together, we're going to end up, for the most part, in the same ballpark. And that little bit that we're not, at the end of the day, the decision will be made just fine. The difference that we're not completely aligned on won't matter in the grand scheme of all of the work that we have to do. We're going in the right direction. If we end up and we're not in the same ballpark, it's okay if you have followed this process. There are times when we're not going to be aligned, where we're going to miss each other. Just remind me and yourself, this is the process that I took. You want this to hold water. I've checked the box on these 6 things, and I haven't manipulated them to fit into, to support why I made this decision. So the goal here, at the end of the day, the problem is remove yourself. Or the problem is I've got too many people bringing me decisions unnecessarily. How do you get them to make decisions confidently without you? Well, the process is you create your decisioning anchors, which are A, your business objectives, B, your personal objectives or your values, and then 2, you communicate them out, and thirdly, you explain how they should help people make decisions both autonomously and in alignment with your own thinking. Now, the key to this is at the bottom, it's the personal objectives and the values. That in and of itself, we could explore so much more. These values get used over and over and over again and are completely under-leveraged by executives and business people. I could spend an entire other video on that, and I might do that. However, we're going to wrap it here. If this was valuable, share this with somebody else that you think would be valuable. Like it or subscribe, depending on where you're seeing this. And lastly, if it was valuable in this 7 minutes or so that I've been discussing, imagine what it would be like to partner for 90 minutes a month and really do some damage and some impact in a positive way when it comes to your leadership ability and your personal effectiveness. Think about all the different ways that you can free up time and become a more effective executive. This is only one of them. And so if this is interesting to you, give me a holler at jz@xform.cc and we can explore what one-to-one executive coaching would look like. With that, be truly well and have a great day.